Is it a shame you got rid of him, or
Well,
he
we've been
or he
seeing him
dumped you
do
off?
this stuff for years, but he's ripping it up in the Bundesliga, though.
And that's a great intro to the latest podcast. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to the Johnny Shield Detailing live stream on YouTube. And we are live across all the other platforms as well, I think. I'm not sure if we are. We might be. If you are, join us on other platforms. You can also come and join us tonight. I'm going to be putting the link to the podcast in the comments section in the chat. So if you guys want to come and join us in the public chat, you can come and join us on Riverside. So I'm just going to literally load that up now. How you doing, Maz? And how's your day been? The lovely Maz is joining me, guys. How are you, mate?
Yeah, all good, all good. Tired as usual, you know, the same old story I say every
Don't
time
worry.
I speak to you.
Can I just get some violin music out? One second. Remember the old BBC ones when they used to do the old, like, what was it? The life stories.
Today was a struggle. Today was a struggle. Today I was, you know, we spoke earlier today. I was whinging to you, wasn't I? That it was a hard day today to get through it. But
I just think it's hard at the moment in general. I think, like I said, it's like some of the stuff we're going to talk about tonight is, interestingly enough, is that I think I do feel like the pressure's starting to get on and we're ramping up towards the start of the nice weather. You know, I think that happens across in America as well. I know that there's a few videos going out about starting the detailing stuff as well.
This year, I've got to admit, the cold has really got to me, like more than usual. I don't know if it's an age-related thing as I'm getting into my mid-40s.
No, I agree.
But this year, my motivation for car cleaning or car detailing really took a dip. That's not to say though that obviously we weren't doing it because we were. I also think as well is because we were working on, you know, our product launches and stuff leading up to this period, just burnt us out. So yeah,
you've had a lot though. There's been a lot.
Well, it's just a crazy rush to finish everything, and our resellers and distributors aren't sympathetic. Like they'll be like, Black Friday's finished, let's order, let's restock now.
Yeah, but that must be quite difficult on your own with all them asking at the same time.
Yeah,
you know, when you got to launch something, it's a good job you don't launch 5 or 6 at the same time, mate, because your unit is absolutely rammed as it is.
Well, yeah, I mean, the pressure is Roger and I, we've got to literally like non-stop do everything. It's like, you know, you remember those guys who play the drums, do the snare, you know,
write the theme tune, sing the theme tune.
Yeah, that's what we're like. You know, we're like.
The funny thing is, I never really, you know, we had this conversation the other day about sending out free products to people or people asking for free products, and you don't really realize that you're not in that scale where you can just do certain things. So when someone asks you to do something, you've got to do everything. So it makes sense at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, that's the realities of being a small business. I mean, we're not the size of Maguire's or.
No, that's what I mean. But what I'm saying is that from the outset, from the stuff that you've that you do, it's you know, it looks professional. You built everything. Yeah, that's something tonight I want to talk about actually is not apart from the detailing side of it, because obviously I think this time of year, like I said, at the moment I'm trying to get my garage sorted out. It's a bit quiet at the moment, so I'm trying to make sure that all the garage, what products do I need, what don't I need, you know, what do I want to bring in, what upgrades do I want to make. At the moment I'm trying to downsize everything at the moment. My position where I started in the industry was like, buy everything. Buy it all, every product, every range, every tool, every towel, everything, review it all, do everything. And now it's like, since I've been using GT, great plug, but since I've been using GT, I've just found myself like buying less towels, less types of towels, less products. I need less. You know what I was like when I met you? I used to buy everything, and now like the only thing I bought. Go on.
I tell you something. It's that's not a new thing. Like I remember mid 2000s, just before I sort of really got into detailing. No, let me rephrase.
Go on.
Before I really got into serious, like becoming like a professional,
Mhm.
and I was an enthusiast. I went to a few car shows and trade shows and stuff, and you would see brands like Dodo Juicer there and Maguire's and who else? I think they were really the main ones, to be honest with you. I remember specifically, and then there was people like Clean Your Car would do an odd show here and there. So when I used to go to these shows, and this was way before Instagram and the social media platforms, we just had forums. So you go to a show and you see all of this stuff that they've imported in, or from various parts of Europe and Asia and stuff, and you just end up buying everything. Because back in those days, you were like, "Oh, I'll try that. Oh, I've never seen that brand before. I'll try that." And yeah, you do end up becoming a pro. Certainly, when I was just before I turned pro, I used to, I bought loads of different waxes.
You still got all of it. You still got
P21S.
loads of it.
I had like an original tub of is it P21S from that I bought mid 2000s, and when I opened it up, obviously all the solvent and everything had gone, and it was just like all like shriveled up and
cracked and all that sort of stuff.
It went bad basically.
Yeah.
Here's a story for you as well.
Go
on. So I went to Goodwood as part of a seatcupra.net, which was because I had to see it, and Roger was there, and I won the best of show award.
Did you really?
I did, yeah, and I got a mix of prizes, and Matt Reynolds, he does done the Detailing World YouTube thing. He was an old friend of mine, so I knew him from pre-detailing days, and I won a Dodo Juice pack, and there was another brand that made waxes that Dodo Juice sort of helped him with and sold. I can't remember the brand now. I feel bad, but I won their stuff. So yeah, there you go. Had skills from back in the day. Johnny,
the thing is, we the thing is, we used to have. That's one thing that's obviously disappeared now, is that we don't have as many cruises anymore. I remember when I was a kid, driving around and stuff, and like used to spend all day cleaning the car, and the type of products that was only available was stuff at Halfords. But I just, I had one of those massive. We talked about this before about those big bonnets. That used to hold like a steering wheel and used to spin. Yeah. And I suppose it was obviously designed. Now I know with past experience, I suppose they were designed to take wax off, wouldn't they? I suppose in a way they were probably
they're like buffers, weren't they? They were
like
to buff.
It was exactly what it was, but it was like a hairnet on it. Do you know what I mean? Like a big like thing on it, terry towel. And I used to just obviously do that all the time, and I thought it was the absolute nuts. I thought it was great. The gloss and shine, using Autoglym super resin polish and all that sort of stuff to sort of like, I just remember like when I first used those kind of products, it was like buzzing. And it's so mad now, because we actually had this conversation the other day about forgetting about how exciting and how much knowledge there is in the industry. You know what I mean? Like, they're gone.
I was going to say, you just flash up a memory. I never forget my old man. He used to make me clean his car because he was too lazy to clean it himself, and he wouldn't take it down to a car wash because he had free labor at home, i.e. me and my brothers, to clean his car for him.
That was the thing, wasn't it?
And I never forget the day when his car was absolutely filthy, and he's like, Maz or Mario, go and clean the car. It wasn't a request; it was an instruction. So I was a good boy. I did as I was told. Yeah. And I would spend hours cleaning the car, and he would come out and he would have a look, and he'll give me money. It's not that bad. He'll give me money and stuff.
A little cheeky fiver.
But I started getting like really into it, like cleaning his car and like going into like the details. He's just like me really knowing what detailing was. It's more valeting, that's what we refer to it as. And then I'll never forget, he came home with a massive transformer from the US, the 110 volt to UK to, is it 220 or 230 volt, whatever it is, right? And a portal cable machine. And he goes, look what I found from was Macro. It's like a Costco for people tuning in. Look what I found, and that was my first foray into machine polishing on his car, on a Merc, expensive Merc.
Really?
And I used the Autoglim super resin polish.
Did you?
Yeah. It was really. I didn't mess up. I didn't mess anything up. It was, it was obviously a learning experience, but yeah, it was good. It done well. Obviously, the back in those days as well with super resin polish, it was so dusty. It was unbelievable. The amount of dust flying everywhere from that polish.
It's savage. It's absolutely savage.
Yeah.
There's so many products that I used to take to the hairdressing salon to use on the glass, on the mirrors, and stuff, like car glass from Autoglim and stuff like that, to get rid of all the products that was like yammed up against the glass that couldn't get off of just normal. We used to use obviously fairy liquid and just like just stuff to clean the glass, if that makes sense. Just buff it with a towel. Yeah, no, it's crazy how you think how far car care has come in that. I mean, since 2020, isn't it fascinating now the amount of brands that have disappeared off the face of the planet? Like I was talking about this earlier. There's still more brands coming, always bringing stuff to market. But I just still think that the amount of money you got to bring to the party now to actually to build a brand. I mean, you got in that situation where you had I wouldn't say it's lucky. It was just timing that COVID.
Well, no one predicted COVID was going to happen, right?
You can't predict that.
It was funny. I was in a sales conference at the time in my corporate life. I was in India. I was in a big sales conference.
Yeah,
we had all the figures going up on the thing, and my name was in stars, Johnny.
Was it really?
I was like the superstar of the event, right? My figures were good, and it was just when we first heard about this COVID thing happening in Asia.
Yeah.
Right, and it was way before there was lockdowns. It was early doors, and I went there, and I got the flu. A really bad flu. Now, I don't know if it was COVID or what, but I was
wiped out.
Yeah, it was not good. In fact, I remember flying back all the way from India. It's a long flight. And because I was all bunged up, my ears were hurting from the pressure of being at altitude. I thought I was going to like burst an eardrum or something. All my sinuses were blocked up. I'm sure it wasn't good flying when you're that unwell. And I shouldn't have done it, to be honest. It wasn't obviously fair on people sitting next to me and stuff in the plane. But hey ho,
that's what we did back then, I mean.
Yeah, and I was thinking to myself at the time, it was the February before COVID really like hit, and I was thinking, there's I wonder what's going to happen with this COVID thing if it's spreading around and everything. Next thing you know, 2-3 weeks later, first lockdowns were happening. And I couldn't believe it. I was saying to obviously I was in big business then. I was saying to all of my clients and the directors and stuff like that. I'm saying they can't keep this locked down. They're going to destroy the economy.
Yeah.
No one can do business.
No.
And honestly, everyone was panicking on the corporate side. You imagine these big companies, all their revenues were going down. Mate, it was the most stressful thing I've ever been through. Yeah.
Football clubs going bankrupt. I saw so many people doing training online for hairdressing, like going live on their Instagrams and Facebook accounts and YouTube.
I'll give you an example
to teach people online.
I'll give you an example. For my first month when there was lockdown and all our projects held, that means it delayed my billing from the corporate side. I lost £1 million. I had to explain why the billing didn't go out on, couldn't go out for these projects, and why my account was £1 million down in revenue. It's crazy. So,
So
yeah.
how were you working and detailing when did you have 2 jobs at the same time? Or did you have a detailing
2
job and then you
jobs.
did
Yeah.
you?
Yeah. Well,
Was you like me
Gary
then? Was you
Therapy. When I first started Gary Therapy, Roger, I started it as a a side business.
Mhm.
So we would work on the stuff. Obviously, I was quite high up in my company, so I could manage my time how I saw fit.
play golf?
But well, yeah, I could. It was up to me how I managed my time. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just did both in the beginning. But you got to remember, Garage Therapy in 2019, we launched with 3 products. We didn't have any clients. We didn't have any customers.
No.
We were lucky in the early days. When we sold our first bottle, we're like, wow, we sold 1 bottle.
Yeah, I
Like,
know.
fucking hell.
I know.
We're going to go large.
We've done it, mate. We've done it.
Orders.
Well,
Yeah.
such an amazing feeling though when you do create something, someone wants to buy it. You know, I remember when I did my Shopify in 22, and you know,
I still find it amazing even to this day. I mean, obviously we're selling thousands of bottles now. Thank you, Lord, that we are. But when
it's
if
mad,
it's
isn't it?
if an order comes through from our website direct, and you might get a dozen or so orders in a day or more, depending on how busy the day is. I just find it amazing. I just think, wow, someone's actually gone in on the computer, typed in our website address, gone, picked the product, added it to the basket,
Mm.
and I just find that I don't think I'm ever going to get over that. I'm so like,
No, I'm the same. I'm the
um,
same with my haircuts and stuff. When I first started, I used to do haircuts for a fiver. You know, I'd be cutting hair at like 3, 4 in the morning after a nightclub because I just used to, I was craving and gagging for people to show people what I could do. Do you know what I mean? This is, I'm really good at this. I can do this. You know what I mean? Like, a fight, charge them a fiver. And sometimes if I like their hair or wanted to cut their hair so badly, I do it for free. And I never got complacent with thinking that people were letting me cut their hair because it was such an important. Your hair's so important, and then it becomes. You always get desensitized when you start working for the big salons and you start to do well and things start to move on, and then you have to move the goalposts really because it just has to be moved because success breeds challenges and competition and all the other stuff, if that makes sense. And so then it becomes you have to it focuses and concentrates the mind. But
I've never told you this, Johnny, but when I was younger, my parents had a cafe in central London in Holborn.
yeah.
Really busy. You had all the office blocks around there. It was really, really busy.
Uh-huh.
But on Proctor Street in Holborn, up the road, there used to be a barber's, and I used to, as a young kid when I was there, I used to run up and down, the street and going into various shops, that neighbouring to us, and my parents were really good friends with the barber there, and I used to sit in his barber shop watching him cut hair, watching him train the girl
Right.
and his son on how to cut hair. He was an Italian guy and how to be a proper barber. And I saw him when he was training his son, and his son accidentally made a mistake on a customer's hair type thing. And luckily it was a good customer, so he was like, "Oh, don't worry about it," type thing, whatever.
Yeah.
But I get what you mean. At least like I can imagine that the responsibility of cutting someone's hair, if you make a mistake, a big mistake, you'd be like, "Oh fuck, what do I do now?" Because the hair's not there anymore, right? You've cut it off.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, the lucky thing compared to clear coat is it does grow back, but people's emotional attachments to that experience don't disappear. Back in the day, we had so much PTSD with people getting their haircut where they had bad haircuts from people. Do you know what I mean? Like really
Yeah.
bad experiences, and so they were just like frightened to let you do anything. And like I said, it's you get used to it, but I've never lost the nerves of when I do a new customer and that anticipation of trying to impress them. So it makes sense. Like there's always, I suppose it's that I liken it to like how a boxer might feel going into a ring. They enjoy, or a sports person enjoys that certain amount of pressure. Does that make sense? There's, they almost need that pressure to focus. Whereas I find that pressure quite overwhelming sometimes. But these guys like really enjoy, that type of pressure means they're on it. Johnny knows the thing or two about no hair. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? bald as a coot.
all the best hairdressers have no hair.
They do, don't they? Trevor Sorby, all the
Yeah.
boys, they've all got no hair. Do you know what I mean? I'm too
It's,
scared to get any implants, boy. Do you know what I mean? They've got to give you guys a chance. With me,
You
with
know what
hair,
though? You can liken that pressure though to when you first detail your first customer's car. You know,
100%,
a first real
100%.
paying customer that you don't know.
100%.
You're nervous because you want to do a good job. I remember that really well.
I did one of my customers' cars as my first paying customer, and I charged him £1,000 for a full detail. It took me 5 days. It was my first Jim White detail that I did. Corrected the paint as best I could, ceramic coated the wheels, the whole 9 yards, everything by the Jim White book, right, at Savs. And I felt really nervous when he came to hand the car over. You know what I mean? It's like I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to hand the car over. I didn't know anything, and it was like, and I couldn't believe that they wanted to. I didn't. They gave me the money because they already had been quoted by somebody else to do the job. So I was just doing their car for a training and blah 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 experience, and they gave me the money, which was so sweet of them to sort of do that. But it was. Yeah, I just felt like I didn't know how to talk. I didn't know what to say. It was so. I was such a fish out of water. And it actually was quite refreshing for me.
Yeah,
Because
well,
go on.
it's what I was going to say when I first started. So in the beginning, obviously, when you first start your own business, you got to attract customers, and a lot of the customers that I attracted in the early days was off the car forum that I met Roger on. To be
Really?
honest, so yeah, because I posted up a picture of me detailing my own car, and people are like, "Oh, can you do mine?" So I said, "Yeah, of course." So and one guy who came to me, he was, I said that it'll be about a day's work, and it would be like basically like a one step, and in those days you just stick a wax on the end and off you go, type thing. So I said that you got to arrive early in the morning, like 7 o'clock, or 8 o'clock, as early as you can arrive. And I'll be finishing when I finish. It might be 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night.
Mm.
And the guy's like, "Well, can I stay and help you do it?" And I was, and being new to the business in those days, I was like, yeah, I guess so."
Yeah.
So the guy was literally just watched me detail his car, just watching me and asking me as I was going along what I
Yeah.
was doing and stuff. And that was nerve-wracking. It's a bit off-putting because
That's how my job. That's what my job is. That's what my
Yeah.
job is. You're sat there with the customer in the chair with their hair.
Yeah. It's a bit off-putting, but it was yeah, it was good in a way as well, right? Because it helps you sharpen how you speak to the client and the customer.
So obviously, like I said, we've both been on a bit of a journey for both our careers and in different sectors, different things, and they obviously build. They cross over to certain. They can cross over in certain sectors, right? You've got your IT background. I've got my hairdressing background, which is sales. I've worked in other businesses as well before. I was obviously in and out of hairdressing as well at the same time. But obviously, in the detail industry, one of the things that is a struggle that we don't have is an actual governing body that or a government-backed training scheme like they do for mechanics, hairdressers, and all that sort of stuff. Do you know what I mean? And these kind of skills are almost a bit down to the individual to learn on the job, if that makes sense. And we've got so many different types of demographics in this industry, different types of people that do this job, to just all walks of life basically do this job. And I think one of the things that's probably I'm still trying to refine, even with years and years of experience talking to customers in my field, is there's so many variables to a car detail, and all the people I get that come in know nothing about having a car detailed normally. I've had so many inquiries in the last week or two, which is why I'm sort of getting myself ready for the season, that people have never had their car detailed before. In your experience, what have you done in your when you were running your business? How did you build a sort of a way of, I mean, inspections? Let's talk about inspections. I mean, that's got to be something that people don't do enough of inspections when it comes to
Well,
to meeting customers.
so back in those days, I'm talking 2006 now. So you had Detailing World, which obviously John and Bill were running
That's it. Yeah.
back in those days, and detailers used to post their work. And what you got back in those days was effectively a vlog, a detailed log of everything they'd done on a car
Yeah.
from start to finish. Some detailers would take like 100 pictures and upload it
Really?
all on Detailing World forum on how they detailed the car. And that, when you're starting out, is invaluable because you're getting to see the level of detail that you needed to go to properly detail a car. And what that also did as well is helped you build up a picture of what you need to consider when you're talking to your client and what you're looking for when you're doing an inspection. So you did a lot of reading back in those days, and I lived on the forum back in when I first started because you're just consuming knowledge.
That's pre-Facebook as well, by the way.
Well, yeah, way pre-Facebook. This was a full-blown forum culture, as I would call it, and it taught you a lot. And we had some really good people to look up to, back in those days who were vlogging. Like I say, vlogging, who were documenting everything they were doing. You had Mike Phillips.
It's journalism, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
detailing journalism.
You had Mike Phillips back in those days writing his long threads on what he was doing and how to talk to. You had the Maguire's guys like Kevin Brown and back in way back in those days, doing early days of YouTube, and on the forums as well, writing how you should talk to your customers, what you need to take into account. You really got help from real leaders in the industry at the time. There wasn't that many, but there was enough on the forums for them to pass on their knowledge. So basically, the inspection was very much it's quite simple for me when I did it back in those days. I would either go to the person's house if they were local, or they would come to me. I'll have my almost like a mechanic's car diagram that I got from the local mechanic down the road. He gave me a whole wad of them where he got them printed off for him, and I'll just write on the car all the defects that I used to see.
Really?
And as I got better at detailing and understood more, I would write more and more and more, and then I would, say, okay, this needs. I would explain to the customer, what the difference between is paint enhancement and paint correction. Even back in those days, by the way, detailing hasn't changed that much in that respect. You still had paint enhancements, you still had correction, and I'll say, look, if you want me to make it look better, that's easy. You'd use a glaze, or you'd use like an all-in-one that you had back in those days. Or if you want a paint correction, you bust out your Manzana was a massive thing back in those days, so you'd use your Manzana polishes.
I love that was the first.
So you had the early days of you had Sonax in the early days as well.
Yeah.
You still had Scholl in the early days, like in the mid 2000s. They were kicking
Maguire's.
about. Maguire's was massive. Maguire's was between Manzana and Maguire's was my go-to back in the early days, for sure.
Really?
But it was all on the fly. I learned a lot on the fly. A really good friend of mine who's still detailing to this day, Rob from Gleam Machine, one of the best detailers I've ever saw. He actually detailed my car even when I was professional, because there was some cement on it, and I wanted to see how he would deal with the cement and how he paint corrected the car. So I just got him to detail my car basically, and I was there helping him do it. And just by watching him, I learned so much.
You do from being present with people.
Yeah.
When you're with people.
I still keep in contact with him to this day. Obviously, I've started the brand up and stuff like that. But he's probably a good 10 years older than me now. So he's kicking on. He's becoming an old boy now. But yeah, he's without doubt, he's one of the best detailers I've ever seen. And he was an amazing golfer. I think he played that.
No way.
I think he was one of the best golfers in Essex at one point.
No way.
Yeah.
I hate people like that. They can do it all. I hate people like that. So
yeah,
when it
Rob
comes to getting customers in then, so when you got customers in, you must have had a process that you used to go through when you were booking in customers and stuff. How did you was you working with a type of demographic that already had their card
obviously
details?
you didn't have like WhatsApp and stuff like that, so it's very much telephone calls and leaving messages and an odd text message.
Yeah, mate.
Back in those days,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Jesus.
And
I'll dial up. I'm joking. Go on.
yeah, you used to have mobile phones, obviously, but it was more, like text messages and stuff.
No, I'm joking.
Right? And the way it would go is you speak to them on the phone, you find out about what car they've got, what they think the condition is, would be my first question. What problems are you seeing on your car? Then you'd book in for them to come and inspect it. Sometimes you would do it blind. You just take the risk. You just say, okay, bring it down. But that it wasn't like this. If you ask me what I'll do today versus what I did 21 years ago, it'll be totally different. What I've done even in the last 5-6 years versus what I've done back in those days. But as the years went on, your inspection process, your discussions with the clients, what services you could offer really changed because I got better, as did Roger when we were doing it together.
Yeah,
wheels off. Do you want your wheels? Do you want the inside of the barrels cleaned? Or that was a discussion back in those days. Do you want us to put a wax on the wheels to make it a little bit easier to clean? Even though back in those days, those like
things
wheel
last very long.
were
crap.
Crap. Didn't do anything. But
yeah,
you still.
But back then there was still detailing though, right? It was still improving by, trying to help the customer by cleaning them a lot more. Look, we got ceramic coatings now, which has obviously been a huge leap in those settings and stuff like that now. But I think it's like, for people who there's going to be new detailers, new valeters, new car cleaners that come to the fore every year, isn't there? This business in this industry isn't getting any smaller, is it? It's only getting more populated and more popular.
No, I mean the indications are the industry is still growing. I don't know, who actually collects this data. It'll be a marketing company of some kind that doing the analysis on the industry. But yeah, for sure that the industry is growing because of the accessibility now to social media and YouTube. Anyone can see videos of a trade happening now, whether it's carpentry or car cleaning. So a lot of people are coming into the detailing industry because they can visually see it on YouTube. Whereas back in my day, people didn't even know what detailing was. That wasn't a common term. In 2005, well, I got into it in 2003, like detailing. But when you had conversations back in those days, people didn't know what detailing was, Johnny. Can you imagine that? You say, I will detail your car, and they'll be like, what? Detailing? What's that? And you'd be like, oh, car cleaning, car valeting. No, that's how you would explain it.
Mate, when I washed my neighbour's car in 2020, just to keep myself busy, I didn't know what a clay bar was. I didn't know anything. And so when I started working at Savs in 2020 and started to learn all these things that I didn't know about and products that I didn't even know existed and other tools and manufacturers and all this stuff that was going on in the industry, it's like walking into a sweetie shop. And when I'll never forget that moment when I walked into Savs to ask them if you needed any help, and they were coating a Audi S3 in that San Marino blue or whatever, topaz blue or whatever they call it, which is like this beautiful fleck.
Yeah,
there was not a scratch on it. It was popping. They were just coating it. This thing had the lights on it. It was buzzing, and I just walked in and went, wow, oh my God, what is this? Do you know what I mean? I was just like, And it just, I think, like with that golf, when you hit that golf shot and all of a sudden you've had a terrible round, you hit that golf shot and you go, I'll just play another 9. Do you know what I mean? It was like that. It was that moment where I was like, mate, I'll work for you for free. Just teach me how to get these results because these look insane. They had the lights, had the stereo. This was like this real like bougie place to go and get your car detailed. And when I came home, and I started cutting clients' hair again, I told them what I've been up to, and they'd obviously seen it to my Facebook. They didn't have a clue what a clay bar was. None of my clients had a damn clue. Like, it was like talking about to the aliens about something. Do you know what I mean? It was bonkers. And I thought, it scared me because I thought, how am I going to make it? How am I going to turn this into a business if nobody knows what this is? And prior to that, I'd been going to the local car wash for years, right? For years, having my car washed with the aggressive acids on the wheels. Just a quick pre-wash in direct sunlight. Left there to just pickle away, bake in and pickle away. And I'm so lucky that my my BMW is got some aggressively thick paint on it and not been polished too many times that I could remove some of the crap that would have been left behind, and all even some of the trims now are still completely oxidized from those situations and stuff. And so there's that moment where it grabs you. And look, now I think the thing is, what I'm struggling with now is that I almost know too much and I forget what the general consensus of the guys that I talk to on my Instagram page and on those Facebooks and stuff about actually what actually is the general like benchmark for entry. Does that make sense? Because I've sat with so many great people in this industry picking their brains with stuff, that the knowledge you've given me and the history and stuff, and the science and the technology and the methodology and the techniques and stuff. Now it's like there has to come a point, surely, where a government or the government or some sort sees some value in this industry and creates because it is like the wild west.
Yeah, I'm probably not the best person to really. The best people to talk about that is Dave Reed and the UKDA boys who do the training, and they've spoken to different government.
Do you think it's wanted
and universities and stuff too?
Do you think the industry would want it?
That's
what I'm asking. That's what I'm wondering.
I think that I don't know whether the industry necessarily wants it. I say that with a caveat that detailing now in dealerships, certainly the ones that I've been to recently, for my own personal stuff, is they know what detailing is. They know how important car prep is. They know what swirls are and scratches are. They know what PPF is now. And some of them are willing to pay for these services or outsource their work to detailers and stuff to get this stuff done. Whether or not the actual industry, like there's like IMI certifications and stuff like that for mechanics and stuff.
Yeah.
Whether that will ever go into detailing and stuff, I'm not so sure. And I tell you why I'm not sure, because
I'm just interested.
One of the things that I got really downhearted about is I came from an IT background, so I've been through what's it bloody called? I done my MCSE, like Microsoft Certified Engineer, back in the day. I did. I was going to, but I was in management at that point, so I didn't. But you could go through your like Azure Cloud certification. There was trade bodies in IT, right? There was big trade shows. You could become a VMware expert. I'm saying all these names to you, but you can become like a cloud expert and a security expert. And there's all these certifications and industry standards that have been agreed upon, because technology is obviously a very important thing. And I look at that industry and I look how developed it is and how professional it is.
Sure.
And also unprofessional as well in certain aspects, but and then you look at the detailing industry, and And I think because the barrier to entry is quite low at times, anyone can pick up a sponge and a shampoo and wash someone's car. That they don't necessarily like, how shall I say it? The detailers don't think that they need to have these training. You know, what you hear is, why do I need to join this trade association? What they're gonna, why do they need to certify me? Why do they need to say I can detail when I know I can detail a car? That's the attitude. So when I was part of the IDA and I was on the board and doing all the IDA stuff, I was just very disappointed at the lack of traction and seriousness that the detailing industry has towards these
Education.
industrial bodies. But I
Oh, right,
also
yeah.
think as well, and educate. I don't know about. I think there's a big thirst for education in detailing, but there isn't that thirst to be part of an association. There might be in America, but not so much here. But even in America with the IDA and stuff, I still don't think there's a thirst for it over there either. And unfortunately, there's problems, you know, that are, and which I'm not going to discuss on
No, of
on
course.
this, right? But it's not where it needs to be for the industry to professionalize enough, that I feel it needs. But the appetite is just not there. But there's no point us talking about it, because I think we're going to do a podcast with Dave Reed anyway, who's, you know, who runs Pro.
Well, I've done one
Fitting
with
UK.
Dave. I've done
Yeah,
one with
you've
Dave.
done.
I haven't published, but I'm a massive advocate for listen, I suppose it's my hairdressing background, I suppose, in a way. Look, what happened in hairdressing is I've never got any qualifications in hairdressing. But come circa sort of 2005, 2006, you weren't allowed to qualify unless you had a maths, English, and science like background, if that like qualification. You had to do. They added more and more legislation to it. They had to. Then more and more came in, and so even though we had colleges, although we had colleges, you didn't. You know, you can still own a hair salon without having any qualifications. So you can own a hair salon. You're allowed to own a hair business, but you're not. But you obviously now you can't hairdress without a MVQ level 1, 2, or 3. Does that make sense? So, and you obviously can go on to do further than that. And so, I suppose because of that background in hairdressing and hair grows back, I find the two businesses bonkers that one has an educational structure to it and one doesn't.
But one's thousands of years old, let's call it that, right? Like that,
True,
like hairdressing
to a
has
certain
been
extent.
around for, I would assume, for hundreds of years.
But MVQs only came in the mid-90s, though, Maz. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That level of that. What I'm saying is that moment where detailing could get to, where they sort of say there's a sort of a base layer for an MVQ, like a level 1, level 2. Let's say like what the PVD do. If what the PVD did became an industry thing, I think it would. I don't know if there would be a lot of. I wonder if the members. Let's call us all members of the detailing society right now. How many people would actually go for it and against it? Does that make sense? Because to actually do some sort of basic knowledge.
Yeah. Well, here's a question, and I don't know the answer to this, but if someone's a carpenter and they learnt their trade from their dad, let's say, because they had a carpentry business, did they need a qualification to be a carpenter? I don't think you do. Or a tiler. I think with plumbing or electricity, you might have to.
Yeah, because gas and plumbing, right? You got to go through that. You got to be registered and certified, haven't you?
But to be a labourer, as an example, a builder.
No.
So this is where.
But people go to college to learn how to tile and plaster and all those trades now, don't they? There's college. There's I know because one of my daughter's boyfriends did not one of. He's only got one boyfriend, but he's got 5. But like went to college. So I just wondered. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm on the other side of the fence. That I like to teach. I like to train. I like that. I like learning and growing and all that sort of stuff. There was lots of people in my hairdressing business that actually just did it as a job. They didn't really like to improve. They just did it as a job.
Hairdressing, but Johnny, okay. And again, this is just my opinion, but and this is mainly in the UK, but I don't think let's just call it car washing. I don't think that was deemed a career as such, right? So in the UK, people that used to
No, I know
work
what you
in the
mean. I know what
car
you mean.
washes,
I know what you
right?
mean.
It wasn't like a trade. You wouldn't say I'm opening up my own car wash business. That's very rare. That's sort of that you obviously had car washes, right? But it wasn't like a
I know
really
what you're
well
saying.
regarded industry to go into like it is nowadays. You
I
didn't
know what you're
have
saying.
tons of valeters and stuff going around the place. Whereas everyone needs a hairdresser, and that was a real career and a real trade
It's true. Yeah, that
to
is true.
learn, which is why you've
But
had
has
all these
detailing become that now,
qualifications.
though? Has detailing become that
I
now?
think it's getting there because
That's what
cars are getting
that's
more
what I'm saying.
expensive.
Yep.
People know what detailing is. I think social media and everything's done about. But again, I think we need to get Dave back and get the real experts' opinions on this. Look, I've got to be careful what I say because I'm a brand, right? And
No, I know that. No, I know that.
I've got to defend the industry as much as say, tell the reality as well. And I want there to be trade associations and I want there to be qualifications for detailers, but there is merits to it and there's also downsides to it. Like
What
for
did you enjoy?
example,
What did you enjoy about being part of those associations anyway? Then, so for
I think
people
you
who,
get
for people who,
camaraderie, you get a
that's what I was
chance
going
to
to say.
network,
Yeah,
you meet people that you would never normally meet. A lot of the guys who became GT pros met me through the IDA. I met the UKDA guys because of the IDA and became aware of them. I met Dave Reed through the IDA as well. And like Dave has become like one of my best friends certainly in the detailing industry.
yeah.
I think the world of Dave and the guys at the UKDA. I love the fact that there was a standard being set in terms of getting your certifications, getting skills verified. I thought that was really important. Unfortunately, though, not enough people thought it was important, and I think that's still the case today. And in the end, after fighting and trying to get people to join the IDA and PVD and stuff, I just for me, I felt it was a losing battle, and
Yeah, like
I
you say.
needed to concentrate on Gary Therapy and grow that, rather than spend a lot of time doing that other stuff.
But personally, your experiences by being in those organisations and working your way through those organisations and meeting people, you built networking, you built you managed to share ideas based on stuff because again, my I have to give you my hairdressing background is that we used to go up every fortnight to London to an art team. So Tony and I used to have an art team, a level 3, level 2, level 1. Right, level 1 art team would travel the world, stand on stage, and there was only a core amount of people, about 15, 20 people that got the luxury of being the Premier League of the hairdressing world, that would do all the competitions. They would travel. Their job was to travel the world all the time. And I suppose I liken that to people like Rich and Ian at the UKDA that get the opportunity to go to trade shows and work with people in certain sectors and stuff and meet on those kind of levels and sort of, integrate with those kind of people on a more of a board, higher level, if that makes sense, of these kind of people like the Mike Phillips of the world. I'm sure has been instrumental in talking to different people and doing stuff. And so I suppose in my industry, I always inspired to test myself against where did I sit in the pantheon of this industry? Where was my skills at? Can I compete? Did I what? And then also the flip side of it, you're right. It was nice to go and meet people that had come down from Nottingham and Sheffield and all of these. They were traveling miles to just come down for just these 3 hours just to share. And we all sat around this one model, like picking ideas, picking each other's brains, and just discussing, outcomes, directions, change. What would you do next? How could you do this? What could fashion? What was we being influenced by at the time in fashion. What was the color schemes? It was endless, if that makes sense. And I could just imagine like the IDA to a certain extent talking about these. Obviously, I've spoke to you for many years now, and like these minutiae details in detailing.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if that much of a conversation really happened. If I'm honest with you, if I'm being
Really?
truthful, yeah. When I was part of the IDA and stuff, it was during COVID, so there was a lot of regulation and issues and stuff right happening at the
Right,
time,
yeah.
and businesses were struggling and people were having to make a lot of life-changing decisions and stuff. So the
Yeah.
conversation was a bit different. But yeah, look, there's a lot of educational stuff as well when you do the IDA in seminars. So you're right, there was good discussions and good training to be had, and that was fun.
Where I see it now, just moving on from the topic, just moving it on, is what I see now in a smaller type of circle is on Instagram. When I first came to the game, there was valeters and detailers that do a lot of mobile stuff, and in that community, there's a lot of WhatsApp groups, chat groups. There's a lot of people that are searching for knowledge, searching for information on a constant, like watching YouTube channels, just sharing information backwards and forwards all the time between each other. The thing is about that though, or what I can attest to, because I've obviously been part of the process, is when you start to speak to people who are in like you've been for a long time, a student of the game, as Roy Keane would say, it's a student of the game. You know what I mean? You've enjoyed
The game.
this, do you know what I mean? The same information goes around and round and round in circles all the time, and it's almost like a colony. Like it's hard to break through that. Does that make sense? Because you can't change the knowledge if no one in the group has more knowledge. Does that make sense? You're just going round and round in circles all the time, unless you are good at testing, testing all the time. And I think, like I said, this game's so stressful, so high intensity, that when you get to a job, I think the last thing that would do is want to do an inspection. They've obviously just booked someone in. They're running late. They've not eaten lunch. They're running their buckets out of the car. They're plugging in their pressure washers and stuff. I think in that sort of level, I can see why the rebuttal to grow and learn and do stuff, because it actually means you've got to do something outside of you haven't got a lot of time yourself to do stuff as it is, let alone add to that schedule of growing your knowledge when you become what you should say as accomplished in what you can do already, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it just depends, Johnny, on what type of character you are and how you deem business and and development and stuff. Some people just want to do the job and go home. Some people just want to do a job and make as much money as possible, and they don't care about whether it's good or bad. Some people really care about whether they do a good job and how much they charge, and you just get all different types of people and they're all different goals. What I would say to like again move this conversation on a little bit is that detailers can be very competitive and very egotistical. So when they'll be like, oh, who are you to tell me how I do my car and stuff like that. But I think that's changing now. I think there is a thirst for training and knowledge out there, and it's incumbent on the brands and the leaders in the industry to give that knowledge out. And I think that is sort of happening. I think it's slowed up a little bit
in
now.
pockets.
Yeah, I think that's slowed up a little bit now, and that's because of I think the world economic situation is having a big effect on every industry, if I'm honest with you. But I don't want to go into geopolitics and stuff.
No, Jesus Christ, it's a bit heavy on a Thursday.
A bit heavy and stuff.
A bit heavy on a Thursday.
I think there's a lot of external factors that are stressing a lot of industries at the moment and what's happening in there. But certainly, like a couple of years ago, when Rupes were doing excellent content, you had Color Lock and Geist and stuff going around doing their leather content. Was happening. America, the way what I love about America is how positive they are as well about training and teaching and sharing knowledge.
That's true.
And
That's
stuff.
definitely a big difference between the UK and the US
Yeah.
with that stuff.
You know, but you've got good UK people as well doing stuff. You know, like as an example, Jim White, by him doing his videos, has helped thousands of detailers, I'm sure.
Oh,
over
he
the
see
years.
he
you know,
he was my he was my god when I first watched Jim White, because the way he did the processes, everything about my hairdressing business and how I hairdress how I was taught as a hairdresser: work clean, work smart, be very, very precise with everything you do.
I knew Jim from back in the day. So when I started detailing is when he started detailing. So we used to talk, on the forums back in the day. But it's been amazing watching him grow and do what he's doing.
I love that I love that he's moved through so many different phases of his content stayed the same, but his he still continues to document what he does. Does that make sense? Like he's on detailing world. Does that make sense? It's all documentational. And even though there's trends in TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube stuff, he stayed true to what he does and continues.
Yeah, you know who else deserves a lot of credit as well?
Go
on. Sandro in Australia.
Oh God, his content is phenomenal.
I mean, and he's been consistent, like really consistent. And he did these huge long details, and the detail used to go into really well spoken. The detail used to go into about his pad combinations and what he felt was the best and all that stuff. I used to really enjoy them. Certainly as a brand, and when you're developing chemicals, you watch someone like that and you see the level of detail that they're taking in as detailers delivering a service. And it's fascinating watching him detail, but he deserves a lot of credit as well,
No, I think you nailed it, because I think him and Jim.
Oh, and Ammo, obviously Larry.
Oh my God,
yeah,
Larry. That's God mode.
Yeah, Larry is what a likable guy. We always say this all the time, John.
Wouldn't you love to get him on the podcast, man?
But he's such a likable man. Like
he's such a detailer, isn't he? That's what I'm going to say. He's such a detailer.
But even if you didn't know he detailed, you feel that you could talk to him about anything.
I've emailed him. I reached out to him and emailed him about just cheekily asked him if he would come on a podcast. Just thought, well, why not? Why not ask him? It's like a good-looking girl in the bar sometimes doesn't get asked out just because no one asks her the question.
That's some analogy with Larry, the good-looking girl.
Well, you know what I mean.
Stretching now, mate.
Yeah, but it's overreaching. But people, the thing is, when you see people do content on these platforms, they become the celebrities of the niche, and so then you feel like when you're around them, you're scared to talk to them. And I just reached out to him.
I don't get that impression. I mean, I think Larry looks like one of the most approachable people.
He was phenomenal. Yeah. Well spoken, responded really nicely, really courteously, declined very politely as well. You know what I mean? Which is just what I love.
Lay you down gently.
He laid me down. He just laid me down gently and just gave me a kiss goodnight. Do you know what I mean?
You know what's? I just saw this random video on social media. Some two guys were having an argument, and the guy punches this other guy, but as the guy falls down, he caresses him down. It knocks him out, but he caresses his head so he doesn't hit his head as he falls down.
That was me. I was like, even being rejected, I felt even more. I loved him even more.
An American guy says only in the UK would they knock the guy out and then help them.
That's true. Actually, that's really good. That is really good. But we talk about content a lot at the moment, obviously, because we're doing our own content and stuff now, and sort of in control of certain content and stuff. But I do feel like the content and stuff is getting a little bit diluted in the sense of those kind of creators you talked about Ammo, Jason Rose from Rupes, Kevin Buff Daddy Brown, Mike Phillips. There's a lot more creators that are.
I don't know whether it's getting diluted. I don't think that's fair, if I'm honest, Johnny. I wouldn't say Steve. I obviously, these are opinions, so your opinion's equally as valid as mine. But
thanks, mate.
Only sometimes.
What I meant was to clarify this is that they weren't doing affiliate links to sell products on YouTube channels. They were basically documenting my angle from this conversation is that like post detailing world and how people used to document all the times and stuff is that because we've lost detailing world to a certain extent in these forums and this type of media now and documenting on that sort of level from a passionate perspective. When I say diluting, what I mean is that
well, let me correct you there. Right,
on.
a lot of the detailers would document their stuff not because they were passionate, because they wanted to show their work for prospective clients.
Gotcha.
So they would win work from them posting up their details. It was an ego thing as well, is to show people, look how great of a detailer I am as well. But it
still was a medium though, wasn't it? I'm saying it still was a medium from where they would go into detail. They weren't trying to sell products and affiliate links. They were trying to sell their business.
Yeah, that affiliate link stuff didn't exist back in those days.
That's what I'm trying. Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say now. You know, with content creators now,
you had links, but that was links. Actually, you know what? You should ask John that. That's a good question to ask Sean. How did you control people linking to non-sponsored brands? Because I remember John and Bill were really hot in those days. Like if you were a detailer posting up details and you weren't paying for that privilege, they would kick you off the forum.
Really?
Yeah.
It was a red flag.
You should bust John's balls over that. So why were you so militant?
I will do, yeah. When we get him on, I'm going to we'll time up
hard-working people showing their details.
What I'm saying is that the landscape of content, with TikTok, the rise of TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, ads on platforms, ability to earn money for affiliate money, like all this sort of stuff now.
It's become a career, hasn't it? That's the thing. Like people are seeing it as a mechanism to make money. So
yes, I think that's what it.
I don't think it's just detailing. I think it's happened in all the videos, like golf, like tech, like
that's true.
Like it's happened.
Well, golf is a great example
now. How ironic is this? You used to go to YouTube to escape TV, you know, where you used to get bombarded with adverts because you can click on a video and watch something very specific, right? What you wanted to watch. Now, even the videos are becoming adverts. Everyone's pushing something. Everyone's selling something.
Mate, Facebook is now giving me an ad on every reel that I watch on Facebook. And I go through Facebook to see what's, you know, I'm tracking what videos do well on Instagram compared to what videos do well on Facebook. I've seen one creator do really badly on Instagram and then see him on Facebook and they're getting like 500 likes and stuff. It's interesting on that, what videos do well on what platforms. But the fact that you're getting an ad now, which by the way, from a brand's perspective or someone who wants to promote their business, you couldn't be in a better position at the moment for advertising. I mean, it's gone across the board. But my point is that all this content that gets served up now on YouTube. I used to get served up all the Forensic John stuff, all the Jim White stuff would just be like playing over and over again on my TV. I wouldn't even have to click the next video because it would already just play another Jim White video. It would play another Ammo video. All the, you know, if anyone wants to learn about detailing, go and look at fucking Ammo's back catalogue on machine polishing, how tools work. It is absolutely just a massive.
But he also had one of the godfathers of detailing, like, you know,
Kevin Duff.
When you got Kevin Brown, you just, you know,
and Jason Rose, by the way.
Oh yeah, I love
both of them.
Yeah. Again, if you're talking about meeting connections and contacts in the IDA, that's how I met Jason Rose and got talking to him. But he's amazing man. Amazing.
Their knowledge, and do you know what I love about them, and I'm sure you could attest to it, is that they're just nice lads. They just seem like nice lads.
Fantastic people. Absolutely. I can attest. So Jason Rose is a wonderful man. He's honestly, so much respect for him. He's such a great man. Mike Phillips, I met him in person a couple of years ago.
That must have been quite a good moment because you
Yeah,
obviously
he's a
big
good
fan of his.
guy. We didn't talk for long, right? You know, but
You was a fan though, weren't you? You was a fan of his work.
yeah. I mean, he said to me from a detailing perspective, he said the greatest ever line he said that really molded who I am today is minimizing the potential of damage.
Really?
As soon as he said that line, detailing made sense to me.
That is true.
That is, you know, and I watched him wash a car, and he kept saying that we're doing this because we're minimizing the potential of damage. We're doing this, and he just kept repeating it, and it just indoctrinated me. And that was it. That is how. That is for me. That is what detailing is. You're cleaning something, but you're minimizing the potential of damage.
Yeah, I think it is, and I think, like I said, all this stuff we just discussed about the politics, the IDA, the PVD, all that sort of stuff is really the art of the game is always about best case practices and reducing minimizing the risk for damage and all that sort of stuff. And I think that is part of that's the skill set, isn't it? That's what it all boils down to.
That is the skill. Yeah, that is the skill. So when you anything, any form of cleaning,
Any form of contact, bad contact.
And that is really the case in everything you do.
That's probably been lost, isn't it? That's been lost.
Whether it's cleaning your bathroom, cleaning your glass is a bit different, but you know what I mean. Like, you can still scratch glass, you can still micro mar glass. If you get a torch out, you'll see these really fine surface scratches sometimes when you clean glass, you know, with certainly not necessarily on a vehicle but around your house and stuff. You know, when you clean the inside of a car, just the act of rubbing anything on a surface, you could potentially be damaging it. Like, even if it's a material, let's say there's a stain on your cloth car seat and you get a microfiber, you get a little bit of APC and you give it a little rub with your finger and a microfiber,
pile starts to come up.
Well, you're fraying the surface, right? Already. Yeah. So everything you do in detailing can cause damage to a surface, even with water. Yeah. You know, you can damage the surface. So when Mike Phillips said to me, "You're reducing the potential of damage," for me, the light bulb went in my head. I'm like, "Oh my God, he's right. Everything you do,
reducing the potential."
Aside from, I mean, even when you're correcting a car, you're taking away. And even then, you're trying to reduce the amount of damage you're doing to the clear coat because you're removing the clear coat. So it's that if you keep that ethos, then you the way you look at detailing changes you forever. Like, you know, it's going back. Let's circle back to your original question. You said to me, "What was your inspections like, right? And your conversations with the customers?" My conversation with the customers was that they'll say to me, "Why should I pay you 300 quid and not Bobby down the road for 100 quid?"
This is the one, isn't it? Yeah.
And I would be like, anyone can clean a car and anyone can machine polish, assuming they roughly know what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
But they may take 50% of your clear coat off, and I'll only take 2-3% off.
Yeah.
And my result will be as good as theirs. That's what you're paying for.
Yeah. You're paying for experience, aren't you? You're paying for the experience, the know-how, the knowledge, the whole 9 yards, and the potential of doing more damage. You know who you choose to do your car. And
you can have, if you did a car and I did a car,
yeah,
right, and we had 2 days each on the car. You know, you may take 4, 5, 6 microns off using your method, but I know my method is
20.
only going to take, no, but I'm just trying to give you the example, right?
Know, yeah.
My method might take off, let's say, 2 microns off the paint, right?
Yeah.
And I guarantee you that our results will be, the cars will look the same, but I've preserved the paint and you've
got the granny out of it.
Yeah, and that is why detailing exists, right? That is the art of detailing. I mean, this should this should really be. I know we're just talking off the cuff here. We're having an
No, why
open
not?
discussion.
I enjoy these. I enjoy
but
these less pressure podcasts where we can wander a bit. That's the thing. I
Yeah.
like this because there are topics that we can wander around on because we talk every day, and so we do wander around with different topics. But there's some stuff I've not asked you before, and sometimes we go.
Well,
off in
it's
different
like
directions.
it's the same principle as when people say, "Oh, why?" Maybe this is not the best example, but I'll say it anyway. Why use a wheel shampoo versus a car shampoo on the wheels?
Yeah,
Right?
that's a big. That's a question that happens a lot.
Yeah, and I think sometimes people, certainly now with the modern wheel shampoos, forget about whether they were good back in the day, but now when you've got a product that is very lubricated, that is a little bit stronger than the car shampoo, that is stable when it gets dirty and it's safer, aren't we then reducing the potential of damage? Therefore, there is your reason why you should use this product versus that product.
It's a very amateur way of thinking, though. When I realise sometimes when I ask you certain questions about certain things that have come up into my inbox, and your rebuttal will be, well, are we detailing or are we just cleaning the car, right?
Yeah.
And that question or that type of response to me always goes, oh, actually, yeah, hang on a minute, can you do it this way? Yes, you can, but why would you? When are you detailing or just cleaning the car? Because if you wanted to, I saw a guy the other day using Sif round the corner to spray on his car and wipe with a microfiber to clean his car.
You see all sorts of stuff like that. I mean, that's been going on for years. I mean, I saw a lady.
Oh, I know that.
I saw a lady wiping her car down with window lean. Like the car was dirty. She had a microfiber she obviously bought from a supermarket, Tesco's. She had window lean, and she was. I laughed as I drove past, but I just couldn't believe my eyes. I was like, "That's she actually doing?"
We had it the other day.
Cleaning a car with window.
She was using the green scouring brush to get bird poo off her car.
I've seen that so many times.
And I was just like, yeah, like I said, these kind of stuff. As a brand and as someone who produces products for the industry, it's a difficult one because there's so many different types of interpretations you have to cover because people detail very differently or have different levels of fear, if that makes sense. Some people have overdose in fear where they won't do anything. They'll use a black pad to polish the whole car. They'll be up there for 40 days. Do you know what I mean? And they won't step up or change anything to sort of cut any stronger. They speed one on everything, if that makes sense. They won't turn the speed up or anything like that. So it makes sense. But on the other side of it, there's people out there that don't have any fear at all, and there's no regard for it. And so it's been interesting actually because you've just released Zeta to the audience. And I've got to laugh at myself at the moment because I've become so. I'm someone who loves new products, loves new tools, new everything. I don't know when I started to turn into this grumpy old git with like.
Are you sure you weren't always a grumpy old git?
I think I was actually.
I'm a grumpy old man. That's for sure.
but like I love the fact the other day we did a live stream that you said, my views haven't changed on spray and rinse sealants, because I'm glad that you actually stand on your words about what you believe in, but also, you also talk about why you brought it out. And I made the biggest mistake.
I didn't bring out the product for me. I brought it out for the professionals and the enthusiasts.
I know, but my point is that I because of the conversations we've had for a couple of years now on different products, different product categories, when they're used, how they're used, best case scenario, worst case scenario, ratios, all these kind of things, and I've seen, since I've been detailing, you've seen me improve as a detailer with all this knowledge and ways to go about things. And, how much now I went down this glass cleaning rabbit hole for 6 months for a while just to figure out how to clean glass the best way, if that makes sense. And finding so many leftover residues from spray and rinses and, bad, staining from chemicals on glass and all this stuff I wanted to remove. And I became anti spray and rinses for that reason, because I was just like,
a lot of people see staining on cars, right? And
Yeah.
they automatically assume it's from a TFR or an acid. And generally, especially nowadays with the invention of these spray and rinses and hot waxes and stuff like that,
Mm.
right? Because this spray and rinse isn't really, it's been around for a fair few years now. You know, there were classed as drying aids and stuff like that. But and wet coats and things like that. And a lot of that is a lot of the staining you see is from those types of products where they've been sprayed on, they've dried off really, really quickly, and then even the rinsing hasn't leveled them down. They're just so. And remember when
Yeah.
you did a video call and you said, "Oh, Maz, look at this glass. What is this?" Right? And I said to you, and you said to me, "Oh, it's chemical staining." I said, "Well, yeah, but it's not acid. It's from spray and rinses that's
Yeah.
happened."
Yeah, and it came, and ironically, you remember when I did my glass cleaning video on when I first went to Moe's, and I actually was surprised that when I polished with panel wipe that it pulled off the contamination rather than having to use a polish
Yeah.
or glass or actual a glass cleaning compound. It was panel wipe that actually pulled it off, which made me realise that it was actually just spray
Well, you
rinse
get
or
you
rinse
get
aid,
you get
a rinse
cuts
aid.
when you add liquid to a pad. You still get
You
cuts.
still get
'cause
cut. You still get
yeah.
you still get cut, but it's still just using panel wipe over a
Yeah,
compound and not having to use a hard glass
Well,
cleaning stuff.
you can. here's a topic. You
Oh.
can declog coatings, yeah. And if you're really trying to clean a coating, right? If you use a finishing pad and glass cleaner or a panel wipe, right, you can clean up a panel and maybe not affect the coating, right?
Really?
Yeah. So I've done it a few times.
Right.
You can obviously cut too much, right? You have to use a finishing pad and you have to be very deliberate in what you're doing and
Yeah.
careful. But that can really help clean up a panel, you know, and even restore the hydrophobic properties of your coatings.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, these things that I started to become aware of you know, working in units, working in certain lighting, you know, I think the value on lighting is so underrated when it comes to detailing. Is the whole topic of lighting in general, I think, is very underrated when it comes to detailing perspectives. Because even when I've started working back outside again, trying to do the glass, it's almost virtually impossible. I'm doing it from memory rather than from knowledge, because the light and the angles and stuff just doesn't give me a picture like I did when I did my glass cleaning video on the GT
You
glass
know,
stuff.
I hear your point. I think we've almost taken it for granted now. When you've got such good products like Scan Grip, and you've got obviously various copies of their stuff now, where you've got different lighting temperature, right? You know, different kelvins for the different light types of lights.
Uh-huh.
You can, you know, it's you just take it for granted now because you've got all these tools available. Back in the day when we had halogen light bulbs, you didn't have all these types of different lights, so you relied on a sun gun we used to have, right? So it's a really powerful 3M gun. It's called a sun gun, right? And you'd have your different types of halogen lights that you relied upon. But now, obviously, now you've got all these different, you know, light sources and stuff. So the quality of work has massively improved because of that.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I actually think that detailing outside is harder than detailing inside. You know, that you're much more efficient inside than you are outside because you're not having to deal with the wind, the dust, contamination, bad lighting is horrendous. You know, like, and the lighting outside is just, in this country, is awful. Temperature, all these things that have massive impacts on that you're having to juggle. Working outside is bloody difficult. Humberto's loving the old sun gun. He's like love the old sun gun. Throwbacks to the memories. So the spray and rinse sealant, what I've you know, I jumped the gun so early because of all this. I was like, I don't like them because they leave stuff behind the glass. I don't like this. I don't like that. They don't last very long. They drop off really quickly. You know, they do this, they do that. So I'd already set myself up for like your spray and rinse, not to put it in the same category.
I've done a good job convincing you otherwise, haven't I? I was like,
I did have to
spray and rinses.
Well, I did have to, although you've given me all this knowledge about certain stuff, I've not had the chance to try these products in this particular instance before anybody else. So I got them at the same time everybody else got them. So I didn't really get a chance to really be ahead of the crowd and what was going on. But because I've just used it at 1 to 20 to start with, I'm going to do a little challenge on my Instagram later on putting up the same videos from 1 to 20 and 1 to 5. And I want to see if anyone can guess the difference, if they can tell what dilution ratio is 1 for one for the other.
Alberto saying I'm 2 weeks older than he's I have to start calling him grandpa.
That's hilarious. I've been looking at the footage from 1 to 20 and 1 to 5 just to see what I can see, because obviously when I first used Zeta, I obviously have used other spray and rinses in the past because that was my go-to stuff back in the day. So I knew what I was what I was looking for. And it is interesting to see it is interesting to see how it, for some reason in my head, my old spray and rinse that I used to use would have really tight, really small beads. I'm not talking about G-Technics one, by the way. I'm talking about Wax and Aways one when I used to use that, just as a quick detailer, spraying it on. And it was go really ceramic beads and stuff. So I was in my head. So when it was with the power of the pressure washer, when it was flattening off and then, pulling off the car, I don't know in my head, but I was thinking it was going to be beads. And I was like, well, if I wanted beads, I'd use Sigma, I'd use CS, I'd use those products that give you, even Quick Detailer gives you some really nice beads. You know what I mean? People don't realize that you can use Quick Detailer as a spray.
Yeah, they don't. I've said that to people, and I still think people don't use it like that.
They don't get it, and I think that's going to be a great video for me to do.
If you'd done if you didn't tell people what the product was, and you just showed a flat panel with no water, and you did 2 or 3 sprays with a detailer, you let it sit there for 10-15 seconds, and you pressure washed it off, people will be like, "Wow, what a wet coat is that?" That's what they'll be like.
Because Quick Detailer beads more than Zeta when you spray it directly on the panel. Only initially. The fascinating part about Zeta is that you've had all this great feedback from the industry already, from clients and stuff. But you know me, I just
and everyone who's bought it, we've had amazing feedback.
Oh,
amazing!
Listen, and I don't want to be negative against people's feedback, but the reason why I got involved with Garage Therapy in the beginning was I wanted to really. Was it just a case of just a throwaway? Was it gaslighting or was it actual real things? And so I love the fact that I've used it at the performance level now through the snow foam cannon, as recommended, if that makes sense. But you can use it in many different ways. But the most important thing this morning was, and I'm starting to sway again now, right, is the fact that there's no residue on the windows, right? The rain has been pelting down today over here like a lunatic, right? On the motorway, it was just like a glass sealant. The gloss levels after 2 days have improved from the first day to the second day to the third day now. This is the third day, right? The slickness, which is something that we obviously been seeing the messages you've been sending me from people saying how slick it is and how glossy it is. The gloss level, the darkness on my missus's car has gone down a couple of shades. It's almost like how when you see a ceramic coating go onto a panel and you see it start to saturate. And then the first thing I did is I just phoned you straight away and said, I had to phone you late at night and say, I need to talk to you about Zeta. Because I was a bit like, okay. Because isn't it funny how I have these, I've started, I don't know why I've got like this, but these preconceived ideas. I think it's because I just assumed your criticism of spray and rinse sealants were going to translate into the same product you were going to produce. If that makes, you were going to come up against the same problems that You know the problem you say about spray rinses is that they die off too quickly. Basically, they work, and they die off.
Initially, and when we were developing it, I mean, I've been playing around with various additives and formulations now for a couple of years, well, maybe even 3 years. Actually, I think it was around about the time we were developing DMS when I first started the project.
Really? Well,
so that would have been 3 years ago. Now I think, yeah, maybe, yeah. And I just, Roger and I, we were testing it and stuff, and I just said to Rog, you know what, these are everything I've said about them, I'm right. These are just no good. And
was this the same as Decon shampoo? Was this not in the same instances as you're like, these aren't.
No, Decon shampoo was completely different.
What I meant was, is you created something that was way stronger, way more powerful, way more. Does that make sense? Was it a case of like with the spray and rinses that you were like, this has got scope to go even further than this? Does that make sense?
Well, so the current,
the scope is what I'm saying. There was more scope.
There's additives out there that you can have even more concentrated than what we're doing now, right? So you're seeing some of them that are like 100 to 1 and stuff like that. We actually got there's an equivalent additive in the UK where you can do that, right? Okay. But they give you good water behavior, but they don't give you everything else. And we've talked about this before on the other stream that we did. They don't give you the slickness over a long period of time. They don't give you that self-cleaning ability, right? And they don't give you that same gloss, that level of gloss that people are seeing. We've had customers, right? Not detailers, these are just customers saying, I've never seen a spray and rinse do what your one has done.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the downside of that, okay, it can only be that guy, you can only dilute it maybe 1 to 20 as a ratio. But yeah, you crashed, Johnny. I think he's crashed. Let's see. Right. Well, it's just me live at the moment. Anyway, let's end it there. Thanks everyone for tuning in. This has been the Johnny Shield Detailing Channel. He's back. Is he back? Oh, I was just wrapping up the show. I was like, thanks everyone for tuning in. This has been the Johnny Shield Detailing off-record chat.
Oi, that's why I don't turn my Wi-Fi off on my laptop, mate.
Oh, fucking hell.
No, go on, carry on. So where I got up to was basically.
But what I was basically saying is you lose all of the characteristics that us as a brand we deem valuable with these. That now, I'm not throwing shade on any other brand. They do what they want. I'm sure people love their products and all that. I'm just saying when we've been testing, we found that characteristics that Zeta gives you is right up there with the best of them.
Well, I'm really looking forward to this weekend in doing the review on it properly, like the proper, 1 to 20, 1 to 10, 1 to 5, from the bottle, because like I said, I've had time to play with it a bit now, and so what I still want to know from my own selfish point of view is I've got great gloss now on the car. Some of the questions I'm getting from people from Instagram and different chat groups is what would you recommend to maintain it with, and also what I want to talk about as well is what troubles you can get into about overusing this kind of product. So how often should you use it? Does this apply to the whole? This protection will give you 3 months, basically, right? Up to 3 months plus you sell the bottle, right? So
yeah, you can. We've had real world testing feedback from pros. They're saying that they've seen it go for like up to 5 months on a car, which is phenomenal.
Bloody hell.
And obviously they haven't reported back to me that it's died yet, so who knows? But I mean, look, for that type of product, if you're getting 3 months, that's fantastic. I wouldn't want a product like that lasting longer than that, because by that point there won't be. I don't know. I've got to be careful what I say here.
Well, I was going to say that a minute ago because I actually really love the way this looks on the car, right? And how easy it is to use.
Look,
and how and there's no staining at all on any of the parts.
I think the reality is that when you start getting a product that can do longer than 3 months, the way you maintain it changes completely. Right? No, rarely does anyone just apply the product once and then forgets about it, and all they do is wash it. They're always applying something on top.
This is what I was trying to discuss with you, is the fact that people are. I've run the risk in the past of thinking I can make a car look as glossy as possible, and I just have this anxious feeling all the time that I should be applying something. Constantly topping something up, and it's a conversation that's not being had, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So look, everything that I okay, so I'll tell you two things. When I was testing Cerberus version 1, I got 3.5 years out of Cerberus version 1.
Yeah.
And all I did was wash the car and put QD on it. And I only washed the car every couple of months, 2-3 months, and I put QD. I didn't do any toppers or anything like that. And then I did 2 decontamination washes in the 3 years, once a year, basically.
Jesus.
Right. And it was phenomenal. So all you needed was QD. Now, do we recommend that officially as a brand? No. You should top your car up every year, follow the proper protocol for looking after the coating. But I proved the point that if you're washing it regularly, which I wasn't, but you can just apply QD and the car will be fine. So with Zeta, you're saying, how do I maintain it? Just apply Quick Detailer. Why do you need to apply anything else? You don't need to reapply it all the time. You don't even need to use Sigma on it all the time. You just apply Quick Detailer. And then if you're seeing that if you're thinking, oh, I really want to keep Zeta going, that's my base sealant, let's say, right? Then that's why you've got the 1:10, the 1:20 ratio, where you can just give it a quick top up.
The point I'm trying to make is that as well, just for people out there, because anxiety plays a huge part in detailing. It's probably the biggest factor. And so I've always...
Are you sure that's not just you, Johnny?
No, it's not just me. It's a lot of people, because, maybe it's just the crowd. Maybe it's just the company I keep in certain settings.
You're like, I could just imagine you're washing your car. There's no one around. You're looking over your shoulder saying, is anyone watching me?
I've done it so many times until up until probably 6 months ago, where we had a proper chat about certain things, about how to maintain coatings, about the proper procedures on what to do with coatings, and how to leave tar, to do inspections once a year, to not put water spot removers on them, solvents, let them do what they're going to do, maintain, you pay for the coating and let the coating do the coating's job,
Yeah.
And that's what I've realized, is that I've been laying down way too much product on vehicles, which could have the negative effect of
it can do
reducing the clarity of the paintwork.
Sometimes when you overtop a car, and I've seen this, doesn't happen all the time, it depends on the product, but I've seen people overtop cars with various different spray and rinses and sealants and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And after a while, they've put so much silicone, for lack of a better word, polymers and silicone on the surface, that they start getting weird mottling effect on the clarity of their paint.
Yeah.
Right. And the hydrophobics then stop behaving normally. It's not as good. And you think, oh, hold on a minute, why is that happening? I'm applying more and more and more product on the car. Surely you should be so hydrophobic to all that stuff. No, because sometimes all that chemical that you're laying on the surface just clogs up the coating, and then it even clogs up the other products that you've laid on top. So you're just layering and layering and layering all this polymers and silicones, and it's stopping all the other products from doing their job, right? And then all it takes is one product masking the product underneath its characteristics, you think, oh my god, what's happened here is the product's dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in that scenario, that's where a product like Decon shampoo will knock back a lot of that dead polymer and silicone off the surface, that you restore the clarity and you restore the hydrophobics of the product.
I've done the same thing when I was getting mentored back in the day from another detailer, and I said to him, "Why did the car look nicer the following on when I washed it the second time compared to the first time when I applied something to it?" And he said, "You probably had leftover product on the car that you hadn't buffed off, and you probably have put too much product on, and so when you washed it, you'd leveled it all off, and that's why it looked even better."
Yeah,
and I think it's
a lot.
And I think it's a conversation that we're not having, and we've had conversations privately about ceramic coating applications, and some of the misconceptions that's of how to apply coatings and some of the things that goes on. And so, like I said with Zeta, like I said, it's when you get a good thing and it's doing a great job and it's so easy to use, it's almost a back of the mind situation where you turn around and go, what if I used it again? What if, do you know what I mean? What if I use? Am I going to get even better results? Am I going to make the car even shiny? And I think
it might do. I mean, I don't know what the cutoff point for constantly layering Zeta on, but what I would guard against is the biggest danger with using loads and loads of these spray and rinses is that, like I said, you can put too much on, and if one time you do it, it dries too quickly, you may get spotting and stuff like that. This is why I don't like spray and rinses, because they can be so finicky as well. Like in the summer, if you're using it in a spray and rinse format, like a wet coat, that's when you've got to be really careful.
Really
That's
fast.
where the foam
Gotta be on and
element in the
off.
summer is much better than the spray
Yeah.
and rinse in the summer. When I was developing the product, I got cocky, and I wanted to push.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to push the product to its limits. So I started doing a few panels, like, just spraying on and rinsing off, and everything was fine. And then I thought, you know what? It's warm. I'll just do 2 or 3 panels at a time and see what happens. And oh my god, that was what a mistake that was. Should never have done that. Just dried so quick. And
so I loved using a wet towel to, like a microfiber, to prime as well, and as I foamed it on to level it, because I believe that spraying directly onto the panel compared to foaming it on is a more aggressive, more concentrated method compared to using it for a snow foam can.
more concentrated. Yeah.
Right. So if I'm going to lay a protection down on a non-protected car, I'm going to use the most strongest method I can, because I want it to hopefully do its thing better, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? This time I decided to use the snow foam method. But what I decided to do is leave it dwell for longer, because I was in a cold climate, and then use a microfiber towel to massage it all over the paint as if I was leveling it. Interestingly enough, instantly, my gloves, the towel, was like literally like you can feel it beading off my hands. Do you know what I mean? It was like the towel was just flying across the foam. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, oh my god.
Such a slick product. It really is a slick product.
And I'd recommend, if you're going to do that method, guys, I'd recommend basically have a designated towel that you really love, a really nice new towel that's going to work really well with water in it. That's not going to get not a big fluffy towel, by the way, right?
Yeah.
Like, because that will drag. That's going to drag. That's going to you can induce scratching. Not, a pearl weave's quite a nice towel to use because it works really, really well. It's designed to level in that sense, and it'll glide over quite nicely.
But I think in that setting, it's not. I wouldn't use a pearl weave. I would use like an Eagle edgeless type towel,
utility towel kind of thing.
Yeah. Whatever fluffy towel you got. Yeah. Yeah, a utility towel, a thing towel. The reason why I wouldn't use that towel.
So your utility towel, I'm not, like, for people out there, is quite a high. It's got a good. It's a nice.
GSM,
it's got a good GSM to it based. It's a lot heavy, a lot softer or robust than you think it is. It's not a.
But
it's not a
most
Kirkland.
most people have like those eagle edgeless type towels, and that's where I would say, yeah, you just use something like that if that's what you got.
And my point I'm trying to make is keep it to one side. Have it as a designated towel because it will become super hydrophobic. So it's going to be pretty much redundant anyway. So keep it as a thing. But also, I've got designated. Look, this is a little bit geeky, guys. I apologise, right? But I do have designated snow foam cannons for designated products. I've got like 7. Maz takes the mickey out of me all the time. But you do know that, like, if you do have surfactants in your snow foam cannon, it will have an impact on the product that you're using.
You will do, yeah. You need to make sure you're using it clean.
To, best case practice is always to rinse your snow foam cannon through after every use. But this is something.
Well, here's the thing: people will rinse their snow foam cannon through, but they won't rinse the bottle. So you got all of that residue in the bottle from the detergent, right?
This is what I mean.
And you're pouring more water in there, and then you're pouring product in there, and then that surfactant residue in the bottle is mixing in with the water.
This is what I'm saying.
And yeah,
this is what I'm saying. This is why I've got a designated spray and rinse cannon, because it's like, because I remember listening to another big brand out there. We'll wrap up in a second, mate. Don't worry.
No, it's not that. I'm just.
It's one of those ones where I know that another brand out there was talking about like their specific ceramic shampoo, right? And that if you don't have a bucket that's clean and residue free, that coating or that in that ceramic shampoo that you're going to use to do your car will be redundant. It won't work. It'll be completely nonsensical to use it because it just literally, the surfactants just kill it straight off the bat.
Yeah.
And I think that's why in the content I'm going to be producing on Zeta, I need to cover all these kind of, not to say it won't, but for people out there that might say, Garage Therapy always give really low ball when it comes to like how long stuff lasts. They'd rather give you a 3 months plus, when you just said like you've seen people use it for it's lasted 5 months, which 5 months.
Yeah, it's really difficult because, like you said, like we say, we tend to lowball our stuff anyway. But you also have to manage people's expectations as well. I mean, it could have been easily enough said up to 3 months or 3 months plus, and what we didn't want to do is do the product a disservice and say that you can't get more than 3 months out of this, because that's not true. You can. It just depends on. Again, it just depends. There's so many variables, Johnny. I mean, how many times are we gonna say that, like, people will apply a product like a spray and rinse on the car, and they'll be like, "Oh, it's not as beady as it's sheeting. It's not beading as well." I'm like, well, what's the quality of your paint? Have you ever machine polished it before? Have you ever clayed it before? When was the last time you clayed it? When was the last time you machine polished it? Is there any old quick detailers on the surface? Is there, have you been using, QDs that don't add hydrophobics to the surface, thinking that's the solution to all your problems? You know what I mean? It's like,
I'm laughing because I'm laughing because these are common FAQs that happen all the time when you're running a brand or when you're talking to anybody in the industry, because when something doesn't work, you instantly just think you're going to open the box, plug it in, and off it goes, and off we go. Does that make sense? And that's why I like that stuff. And like I said, if you're doing vans, if you're doing budget details, you're doing all this sort of stuff, Zeta is just going to be such a great product. Like I've got 2 transporters that I regularly do, right? And it's bloody hard. That roof is bloody massive, right? To do CS on it and all that sort of stuff. I love it. I'll do it, right? But it's massive. Like to be able to snow foam on or lay down Zeta through the cannon, like I say, because that specific transporter now that's had 2 coat CS, 2 coat Sigma, 1 coat quick detailer that's been on. Like I proper smashed the granny out of it because I wanted to see the triple system in full effect and see what it is. I can't believe that transporter's coming back and still is slick. Like it when you rinse it off.
You wait. You're going to see it at the. Is it at the 5 month mark or is it the 3 month mark now?
It's at the 5 month mark now already.
Right,
so
you're going to see it soon then and see what it's like. Yeah.
Well, no, like I said, it was in 3 weeks ago, and it just literally I rinsed it off. And
it was 3 weeks ago. Okay,
it was 3 weeks ago. The transporter was in, right, the grey one. So I've got the grey one and the blue one.
Basically, you saw it about 4.5 months, or whatever it is, or
yeah. It's coming up to the next wash will be close to 5.5 months, right? And so the last rinse I did with a ceramic coated car versus this coated car. So we got a ceramic coated versus water based, right? The actual initial rinse off looked similar, very similar. The only difference was the fact that the ceramic coating will always overpower it for slickness over that amount of time because it's completely different chemistry compared to a water based product. But don't get it wrong. Don't get it misconstrued. It was still the dirt came off like that, and I still used these products, at that level because the car hadn't been in for like this first time. This car hadn't been in since Christmas because I was ill. That I used Decon shampoo, and Decon shampoo still didn't strip off the protection or do any damage of it whatsoever. So I think the next coating that I'm going to use on that transporter, because it is my little test vehicle, because it does so many miles, Maz. Does so many miles, that car. It's ridiculous, right?
Humberto is saying if you ask a professional detailer, they can respond. They can tell you basically what they put on what they did and what they put on the car. But when a customer goes into creative mode, they apply anything and everything. It's true, they do. It's like,
just sort of pepper it on. But yeah, I think the next coating I want to put on that transporter will be. I think Chimera's got to go on it, to be honest with you. I think.
What you mean? But you've ceramic coated one already, so that coating's got plenty of life left in it, right? So,
I've got the blue one's already been ceramic coated. That's coming up to. It's 2 months away from being a year since that's been done. So that's 2 months away from needing a yearly decon.
Yeah,
and it's yearly inspection, right? And then that's the time when I can actually lay Chimera on that one. But I want to do a double Chimera where I do both cars, one with Chimera as its base and one with Chimera as its top.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say with the other one is when you do Chimera, you're going to have to make sure you get everything off the car.
Oh yeah, completely decontaminated, like tar, everything else. Yeah. Would it be worth using Essence Plus? Or just leaving it as it is?
No, you've corrected it already, so just leave it.
Yeah. No, what I meant was not the corrective one, just the the SiO2 filler one. No bollocks. Just basically make sure it's decon fully. Obviously, no clay bar in a ceramic coated vehicle.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anyway,
cool.
lads, look.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, mate. Like I said, got some good bits of chat on there anyway. And if you're watching this afterwards, like I said, every fortnight
should have jumped on, had a chat.
Listen, I haven't done it for a while. So, like I said, we obviously always
Humberto should have come on. See his old man face. That he looks like a 20-year-old though.
That's true. That is true. Old Humberto. Which I didn't realise you can do polls now in the bloody live stream and stuff. Members only live stream and that sort of stuff. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Listen, thanks for coming on, Maz. Anyway, we've got 8 people still watching. Hopefully, the people out there that are using Zeta for the first time this weekend, or using Garage Therapy the first time, or if you need any tips and tricks and stuff, just leave comments under the video, guys, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And thanks for joining. And also, I'm just about to load up the Garage Therapy Spotify channel, where you're going to be able to listen to all the podcasts that we've done so far. I think there's going to be 6 or 7 we've done so far. So if you haven't listened to that and you want to listen to that while you're working, I'm going to put the link up on my stories very, very soon. Thanks so much for joining.
Cool.
Thanks everyone. We'll catch you later.